I am your teacher, Mr. Pacitti, and this is my classroom here in Oklahoma City, so put away your mobile phones, put away your Greg's vegan steak bakes. Just kidding, tried one, it's delicious. Eat whatever the hell you want as long as it's not people. It's time to concentrate, it's time to study. This is Raw, and this is Graded. We are kicking things off with WWE Champion Brock Lesnar. It's been a while. Remember him? Looks like a big grumpy thumb. He is here to announce his plans for the Royal Rumble. Heyman is, of course, doing the talking for him, and he says that they are going to kick off the new year by doing something historic, because that is what Brock Lesnar does. He makes history. Brock has been pondering. He's been wondering who is going to face him for the title at the Royal Rumble, but he thinks that not one single member of the WWE roster is worthy. So he is going to do something unprecedented. Brock Lesnar is going to enter the Royal Rumble. But he's not just going to enter the Royal Rumble, he's going to enter the Royal Rumble from the number 1 spot. And he's gonna win the bloody thing. And that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. And that is pretty much it. And I'm not quite sure what to make of this. On one hand, I'm quite glad that we're not going to get a thrown together WWE title match with less than 3 weeks until one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. On the other hand, it doesn't really make that much sense, does it? Heyman did his best in justifying this decision, saying that Brock wanted to prove how dominant he is, but really, what does he have to prove? Why would Brock Lesnar want to enter the Rumble match, a match that he's won before? I guess it could be argued that Brock Lesnar wants the Fiend's title too. Maybe he wants Adam Cole's NXT title. Screw it, go for Shinsuke Nakamura, Andrade, Angel Garza, Kaylee Ray. Complete the set, Brock. Put simply, Brock the character and the person doesn't care about accolades. He doesn't care about titles. That's been established. He cares about making money, eating steaks, and shooting animals in their faces. So, as unexpected and perhaps exciting as this may be, it didn't quite work for me. Thus, it gets a C. Realistically, whoever eliminates Brock at the Rumble is going to be the man to challenge Brock down the line at WrestleMania. And that is very, very likely to be Cain Velasquez. And I can't be excited about that. That's not a match for me. It's probably not a match for you either, but I understand why they want to do it because of the mainstream appeal that's there. There will be people who will be excited to see that match happen in a wrestling ring. Sorry, a sports entertainment ring. But I don't like the idea of Brock being in the match to begin with. I think there are better ways to build to that match. Let's see, maybe it'll be Dio Madden coming in at number 2, throwing Brock out of there. Make yourself famous, kid. Do it, Dio. Next up, it's time for a US title rematch. The new champion Andrade, who won it at MSG on Boxing Day, taking on the former champion Rey Mysterio. I'm not going to sit here and talk about how much chemistry Rey Mysterio and Andrade have. Their matches on SmackDown last year, some of my favorite TV matches ever. They were that good. This match on Raw, no exception. It was also fantastic. Just two guys going back and forth, a legend and a future legend. At one point, Rey Mysterio manages to launch Andrade into the ring steps on the outside. There was a great tornado DDT off a springboard moonsault reversal, and the closing sequence, well, we thought it was the closing sequence, was fantastic too. Rey Mysterio hitting a Canadian destroyer, 1, 2, 3, new US champion. Except no. And the reason that Rey Mysterio didn't recapture that US title is because of that sneaky Zelina Vega, who had grabbed Andrade's leg, put it on the ring rope, the referee clocked it after he had called for the bell, he restarts the match, and you'll never guess who wins this time. So the two go at it a little bit more, and then Rey Mysterio accidentally gets tossed into Zelina Vega on the outside. They head back into the ring, and then it's a bit awkward at this point. So Andrade sets up for the hammerlock DDT, but the ref goes, no, 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 no. And it looks like Rey Mysterio might be hurt, but no, he actually wants to go outside and check on Zelina Vega because he feels guilty about being thrown into her. And then Rey Mysterio gets back into the ring. Andrade nails the hammerlock DDT. 1, 2, 3. Andrade's still the US champion, but the timing was a little bit off. I'm not sure it was meant to play out the way it played out. After the match, Andrade pulls Rey Mysterio's mask off of his little pea head and gives it to Zelina Vega as some sort of peace offering, I guess. This one gets an A-. The match itself was wonderful, a really fun opener, and though the last 2 minutes maybe didn't work out as intended, it felt a little bit disjointed. disjointed. It did further the tension between Andrade and his manager Zelina Vega, who I don't want to split up one bit, but that's life. Triple threat tag team title action up next as the champions, the Viking Raiders, take on the OC and the Street Profits, and another cracking match here. Two back-to-back great title matches. This one was given plenty of time, and more importantly, each team was able to shine at various points in the match. We see some great fun acrobatics with Ivar and Montez Ford. The OC really healing it up, attacking the Street Profits from behind, trying to end things early. Later on, they break up what I thought might have been the finish as the Viking Raiders hit the Viking Experience. That's a mouthful. They break that pinfall up, and there's some really, really good near falls throughout this one. One of those near falls I particularly enjoyed later on in the match. Montez Ford hitting the frog splash. It looked like he had the match won, and then Carl Anderson rolls in, chucks Montez out of the ring, and tries to steal the pinfall, which was broken up by Hansen? I think it was Ivar, sorry, of the Viking Raiders. And then it all breaks down. Montez diving to the outside, taking everybody out, which leaves Carl Anderson in the ring to eat a big splash from Ivar. 1, 2, 3, the Viking Raiders retain their Raw Tag Team titles. Really enjoyable match here. The Viking Raiders are just so much cooler when they're having proper matches. I've got absolutely no complaints about this one at all. It gets an A-. It was almost pay-per-view quality action. Almost. Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch is out next. She is here to address her opponent at the Royal Rumble, Asuka. She says that she forced the powers that be to give her that match at the Royal Rumble because she wants to prove that she can beat Asuka. And then she throws to a video package of all the times that Asuka has defeated Becky Lynch in both singles and tag team action. She is then interrupted by the woman herself, the Empress of Tomorrow. Asuka comes out, she's got a mic, and she's running down Becky Lynch, I assume, because she was speaking Japanese, and surprisingly, I don't speak Japanese, so she might have just been saying how pretty Becky is, but I don't think she was, because Becky certainly took offense. Asuka gets in the ring, and Becky just lays her out with a single punch. That's your lot. Super simple, but super effective stuff. It's another A-. This Becky-Asuka build has been really fantastic, and the reason that it's been so effective is because of its simplicity. There's one question that needs to be answered. Can Becky Lynch defeat Asuka? That's it. That's the basis of the feud, and I can't wait to see that question be answered. Next up, it's Erick Rowan versus local competitor, but before the match starts, we see Erick Rowan backstage, but he's not alone. That's right, it's the dynamic duo of Erick Rowan and Playboy Mojo Rawley. Mojo Rawley asks Erick Rowan, hey, can I have a look inside the cage? What's in there, buddy? And Erick goes, yeah, go on then, mate. Just like that. So Mojo has a little peek and he goes, whoa, what the hell is that? And then pegs it out of there. Let's get to the match. You know how this plays out by now. Rowan ragdolls the jobber all over the place, squashes him, he picks up the win with the Iron Claw. But after the match, he drags the jobber outside and then he drags the jobber up to the cat cage and pushes his face into it. And the jobber's like, oh, what the hell? And then he pulls back and you see his face is covered in blood. What is possibly in there? He pegs it up the ramp. That's your lot. This one, it gets a C+. Sure, it's fundamentally just another squash match, but at least there's some storyline progression here, unlike previous weeks. Is it taking far too long to find out what's in the cat cage? Yes, but is it going to be disappointing when we find out what is in the cat cage? Also yes. AJ Styles versus Akira Tozawa is up next, and the story here is AJ Styles showing his frustration after Randy Orton absolutely murked him on last week's Raw. So AJ starts stealing Randy's moves. He hits the vintage Orton, the DDT, over the rope, and then nails the RKO to pick up the win, and then poses like Orton in the corner and in the center of the ring. No Orton to be seen, but I like this a lot. This gets a B. It only lasted a few minutes, but what we did see was really enjoyable. And the mind games thing is really working for me. It's like when you're playing a WWE video game and you steal your opponent's finisher, it's all the more satisfying. I can't say I'm particularly buzzing about Orton being babyface again because I think he's a far better heel, but I'm into the feud enough to forgive that, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Next up, after last week's insane closing segment, Bobby Lashley and Lana are finally going to get married. Way! Lana tells the crowd to shut up. The official pronounces Bobby Lashley and Lana husband and wife. He says, "You may kiss the bride." They kiss. It's wonderful. I'm welling up here. Lana then goes on to show off her ring, her wedding ring. She says that this should be the happiest day of her life, but it was ruined last week primarily by that Bulgarian brutish bastard Rusev, who then appears on the Tron and he's on the beach. He's in bloody Puerto Rico, or so I hear it's lovely this time of year. Rusev reveals that he has put together a wonderful wedding album slideshow of last week's ceremony, and it cycles through the images, and it's obviously just Lana and Bobby being absolutely humiliated. And so Lana and Bobby get all pissy in the ring, and Rusev says, "Next week, I'm going to beat up Bobby Lashley, I'm going to pulverize him, and whatever is left of Bobby's body, Lana, you can have it." And that's it. Unfortunately, last week was obviously absolutely mental. Proper soap opera nonsensical BS. But everybody was talking about it. And then to go from that last week to this week, it just felt really underwhelming because not that much happened. I just sort of wish they'd gone full hog with this and made things this week even more insane, just to capitalise on the fact that everybody is talking about this storyline. Like, there was no Liv Morgan, though she does pop up in a second. There were none of Lana or Bobby Lashley's exes. It was just Rusev on a green screen, and why does he even care? Like, yeah, whatever, this gets a D. So yeah, speaking of Liv Morgan, she now pops up backstage while R-Truth is being interviewed, and she says that she will be there in Rusev's corner next week on Raw. Oh, okay. It's still a D though. Next up, it's time for Charlotte Flair versus Sarah Logan. Sarah Logan attacks Charlotte Flair before the bell. The two scrap it out on the outside of the ring, and then Sarah gets back in the ring, and she grabs Charlotte's robe, and she starts beating it up. She's going, it looked a bit pathetic. Long story short, Sarah Logan ends up eating a spear on the outside, then gets properly laid out by Charlotte Flair. Charlotte puts the robe back on, and that is pretty much it. I'm going to give this a C because it might go somewhere. I want to be optimistic about this, but the image of Sarah Logan, who it's nice to see back on TV, the image of Sarah Logan whipping around Charlotte Flair's robe like a petulant toddler doesn't fill me with hope. Next up, it's the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre taking on No Way Jose, who gets a jobber entrance. Imagine being one of Jose's conga line, getting all dressed up, all excited, "I'm going to be on the telly, mum!" And then you get a jobber entrance. You don't even get to dance down the ramp on TV. But they did get involved later in the match. Ooh. So predictably, Jose is getting battered by Drew inside the ring, and then Drew slides to the outside of the ring and starts battering some of the conga line. Like, he grabs one of them, hoists him up in that reverse Alabama Slammer thing on the outside, then he gets back in the ring, nails the Future Shock DDT, kips up, which was really cool, and then goes and stands in the corner. 3, 2, 1, the crowd super into this. Claymore, that's your lot. Then after the match, Drew grabs a mic and he goes, "Right, who wants to see me hit one more Claymore?" And the crowd go absolutely wild for it. He gets Jose back in the ring. 3, 2, 1, Claymore, another kip up. And now, Drew McIntyre is one of the top babyfaces on Raw by beating up somebody who is actually an established babyface, but people care so little about Jose that they're really happy about seeing Drew McIntyre, who's been tremendously underutilized, just completely knacker him. It was fantastic. Drew then announces that he is entering the Royal Rumble match. I really hope he wins that. My fingers are so crossed for you, Drew, that it almost hurts. This gets a B. There wasn't really much to it, but the image of Drew McIntyre being cheered so heavily for kicking a man in the face, a man who was supposed to be a good guy, it just shows how effortlessly entertaining Drew McIntyre is. When he was kipping up and the big smile on his face, he's such a good heel, he's such a good babyface. Win the Rumble, Drew. Aleister Black versus Shelton Benjamin is up next in our penultimate match of the night, and this one, once again, doesn't last very long at all. Aleister Black out wrestling Shelton Benjamin at every turn. He knees him in the face and then hits Black Mass, and that's your lot. Aleister Black then does this little sit-down, cross-leg school assembly pose thing. Before he can even stand up, though, Buddy Murphy gets in the ring and pounces. He attacks Aleister Black, takes him to the outside, knees him hard in the face once, and then grabs a chair, positions his chin on the top of the chair like that, and then knees him hard in the face one more time. And then he steals Black's pose. It's a night of theft tonight. He sits on the corner of the barricade and looks down cross-legged, school assembly style, to close this segment. This match gets a C+. It was less about having a match and more about getting to the eventual beatdown of Aleister Black by Buddy Murphy. I'm still not sure that this feud is right for either guy, because the matches have been really, really great, but eventually there's only going to be one winner. And I just think it would benefit both guys more to be working with more established members of the Raw roster so they themselves can become more established. Main event time, and it's Seth Rollins and the AOP taking on Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, and it's been teased all night. Who could it be? Well, it's the Big Paul. The Big Show's back. Welcome back, Paul. That's right, for the first time in over a year, the Big Show is wrestling in WWE. He's making his way to the ring, and then immediately he lays out an audience member, turning heel in the process. But then he finds an orphaned child in the front row and he says, "I'm adopting this boy!" And he grabs him and he takes him out and he's turned babyface again. But then he lays out Kevin Owens and he's turned heel again. But then he lays out Jerry Lawler and he's turned babyface again. But then he lays out Samoa Joe and he's turned heel again. But then he sees a homeless man also in the front row and he gives him 20 quid. And Paul White is babyface once again. None of that happened. Show starts things out in the ring, laying in the big chops to Seth Rollins. We've all missed those, that's for sure. And then Samoa Joe comes in. Seth and Joe go at it for a bit. Kevin Owens gets the tag, comes in, cannonball, and he's in control until the AOP attack him from behind when the ref is distracted. The heels take control for a bit. All the while, "We want Big Show" chants are raining down in Oklahoma. Look at his lovely smile. Isn't he a wonderful man? And then finally, the hot tag is made. In comes Big Show, who cleans house. And it looks like Big Show has things won. He's about to hoist both members of the AOP up with a double choke slam, but Seth Rollins slides in with a chair, hits Big Show in the back. It's a DQ, and then they're going to start laying into Big Show, but fortunately he gets the upper hand. He lays out Seth Rollins with a WMD, you love it! And the babyface trio stand tall, big smiles on their faces to close the show. This gets a B+. I almost gave it an A- because I just ruddy love the Big Show, but it's not worthy of an A grade, is it? Still a fun return, and it's nice to see Big Show back in WWE. I said this in the news video earlier, but I truly think that Big Show has a place in WWE still. That place should be putting over younger talent. Something that he did really, really well with Braun Strowman back in, 2017? But yeah, I'm happy to see him back. Hopefully that's the role that WWE use him in. Overall, this episode of Raw gets a B+. Things petered out a little bit in the second hour, but we still had some great matches last night. Rey versus Andrade was brilliant. The triple threat tag team title match was brilliant. And the main event was a lot of fun too, because who doesn't love a return? I know I do, and I know you do too. What's the least spoken language in the world? Sign language. Good to be back. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.